There was a red envelope on the kitchen table. It wasn't mine. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me either. I stood there in my wrinkled pajama pants, holding a half-eaten granola bar, just staring at it like it was going to open itself and confess. It was addressed to E. Callahan. That's my wife. But the handwriting wasn't hers. It definitely wasn't mine. It was elegant. Like movie prop elegant. And inside, yes, of course I opened it, was an invitation. Heavy paper. Gold foil. It smelled like some kind of cologne I couldn't name, but it made my head spin. One night only. No excuses. No guilt. I'll be waiting, see. I must have read it 10 times. What the heck was this? Some kind of twisted joke? A prank? I turned to ask her about it, and she was just gone. No car in the driveway. No text. No note. Just a husband holding an envelope that smelled like secrets. And that's when I noticed her wedding ring sitting in the fruit bowl. Yeah, you read that right. She dropped her ring behind a banana and vanished into the night. Now, I know I'm not the world's most exciting guy. I alphabetized the spice rack. I think 2-day-old pizza is still a perfectly reasonable dinner. I believe in marriage, in routine, in loyalty, like an idiot. So what did I do? I sat down and tried to breathe. I told myself not to spiral. I Googled the address listed on the back of the card, because apparently, I'm the kind of husband who searches clues like it's a scavenger hunt just to get the truth. It was a downtown rooftop bar. Members only. VIPs, whatever that means. She left her ring. She took nothing but her lipstick. She said she was too tired to talk earlier that night. Too tired, my butt. I didn't go to sleep. I didn't eat. I waited. 1 hour. Then 2. Then 4. She still wasn't home by morning. So, naturally, I did what no self-respecting, heart-shattered, confused husband should do. I went to the address. And I didn't go alone. Because here's where things get twisted. I showed up with a woman who had also received a red envelope addressed to her husband. That's right. My wife's lover was married, and his wife and I were now in the same car, sipping gas station coffee, on our way to crash whatever fantasy night our spouses had planned. I didn't expect what we saw when we arrived. I didn't expect what she did when we walked in. And I sure as hell didn't expect my wife to collapse to her knees in front of everyone. But that part comes later. This is just the beginning. When we pulled up outside the building, the valet didn't even flinch at the sight of 2 strangers walking in like we owned the place. It was the kind of sleek, modern rooftop bar that oozed money and secrets, tall glass walls, low ambient lighting, every server dressed like they belonged in a fragrance ad. I had no right being there, but neither did she. My companion, Clara, wasn't shaking. She wasn't breathing heavy or pacing like I was. She walked like a woman with a purpose. Her jaw was tight, her grip on her clutch so firm I thought it might snap in half. I think, for her, this wasn't about shock. It was about revenge. We didn't have to look far. On the upper deck, just past a roped-off section labeled Private Event, we saw them. There was no mistaking it. My wife, my Melinda, was standing beside a man in a charcoal suit, laughing, her hand resting casually on his chest like she belonged there. Like she hadn't left a ring in our fruit bowl and vanished into the night. Like she hadn't lied to my face 24 hours ago and told me she was exhausted from work. I should have been angry, furious. But what I felt in that moment was something far worse. Humiliation. I felt like I was watching the final scene of a movie where the idiot husband finds out he was the punchline all along. Clara didn't wait. She just walked, right through the rope, past the stunned event planner who reached out to stop her. I followed like a lost puppy, hands in my pockets, heart in my throat. My wife turned when she heard the commotion. She smiled at first, confused, maybe thinking we were late arrivals to the party. Then her eyes locked on Clara, then on me. Her smile fell so fast it was like watching a light bulb shatter in slow motion. She didn't say a word. I think she forgot how to speak. Clara marched straight to her husband, slapped a manila envelope into his hands, and said loud enough for everyone around us to hear. That's every receipt, every text, every screenshot. Enjoy explaining that to your board of directors. He didn't say anything either, just stood there blinking like he'd been hit by a truck. I was half expecting security to swarm us, but they didn't. Maybe they knew better. Maybe even they wanted to see how it all played out. I didn't make a speech. I didn't throw a drink. I just looked at my wife and said, "The ring? You left it in the bananas." Classy. Her lips parted like she was about to respond, but I turned before she could. I didn't want to hear her voice. Not then. I didn't trust myself to stay calm if I did. Clara hooked her arm through mine like we'd rehearsed it, and together we walked out, leaving behind a crowd of murmurs, frozen champagne flutes, and two cheating spouses who thought their night was going to end in a hotel suite. Not public exposure. But the story doesn't end there. Because 20 minutes later, back in Clara's car, my phone started ringing. Melinda, 16 times. And when I didn't answer, she started texting. I didn't open a single one. Not yet. But I remember the preview that flashed across my screen as she sent the last one. Please, Ellis. It wasn't what it looked like. Of course it wasn't. And still, that was only the beginning of her unraveling. The morning after the rooftop incident felt unreal. You know that fog you get after a nightmare, where you're not sure if it happened or if your brain just decided to torture you while you slept? Yeah, that was me. Except I had a voicemail from my wife, my cheating, bold as hell, rooftop giggle machine of a wife, to remind me it was all very real. She left 6 voicemails. I listened to one. In it, she was crying. We're trying to. That fake cry where there's no snot, no real sobs. Just trembles in her voice like she's trying to play the role of regretful wife, but forgot her lines. Ellis, she sniffled. I didn't mean for you to find out like that. It was supposed to be harmless. A joke. Like a fantasy night thing. That woman set me up. It's not what you think. A joke. She called it a joke. Like I was supposed to laugh. Like the red envelope, the wedding ring in the fruit bowl, the candlelit rooftop bar. That was all just a punchline, and I'd missed the setup. I didn't respond. I went to work. I taught my first period civics class with a frozen face and a caffeine headache. I nodded at other teachers in the hallway who smiled too brightly, like they could already smell something off in my life. I ignored my phone every time it buzzed in my pocket. But by noon, the texts weren't coming from just her. It was her mother now, then her sister, and then her coworker, the one I never liked. The one who once joked that Melinda could do better than a schoolteacher. That woman texted me to say I'd overreacted and embarrassed everyone. Oh, I embarrassed them? So I did something stupid. I replied, just once. Did she also tell you about the private invitation? The secret rendezvous? Or the part where she left her ring behind like it was a deposit? The coworker didn't answer after that. But Melinda did. She sent me a photo. It was of the ring, on her finger, with a caption, I'm still your wife. Please come home. Except I wasn't home. I was staying at a friend's, a buddy from college, Andrew, who had a futon and a fridge full of beer and exactly zero judgment. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a remote, pointed to the spare toothbrush, and said, take your time. But I wasn't resting. I was digging. Because here's the thing. After the rooftop scene, something about Melinda's confidence had bothered me. She looked stunned when she saw me. Yes, but not ashamed. More panicked. Like someone whose plan had suddenly gone sideways. I needed to know more. So I started looking. And what I found shook me more than her affair. Because it turns out the man she'd been seeing, he wasn't just some charming coworker. He was her boss. Not just her boss. The CEO. Married, powerful, and very, very careful until last night. And it turns out that fantasy night my wife claimed was just a joke. It wasn't just for him and her. It was an annual event. Quiet. Exclusive. Only certain couples invited. But this year, someone tipped off Clara. Someone inside his own company. Someone who'd had enough. And now the board was involved. And it was all about to blow. Melinda's face wasn't on just my phone anymore. It was about to be on headlines. And the best part? I wasn't the one who leaked it. Friday morning started like any other. Rows of yawning teenagers. Half-eaten muffins. Too much noise in the hallway. I stood at the whiteboard pretending to care about the difference between a bill and a law while my head buzzed with everything else. I hadn't slept more than 3 hours. My phone was on airplane mode. I was one question away from cracking when I heard a soft knock at the door. I turned around, and there she was. Melinda, in my classroom, in a cream-colored coat she used to only wear on holidays. Hair pulled back like she was trying to look put together, but her eyes were swollen and rimmed with red. My students all turned and stared, some even whispering, like they could smell the drama before it unfolded. I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. I didn't say a word, just walked to the door, stepped out into the hallway, and closed it behind me. She looked up at me, biting her lip, and for a moment I saw the girl I married. Or maybe I just wanted to. Can we talk? She asked. Here, I muttered. At my job. She flinched. I didn't know where else to go. You've been ignoring me. There's a reason for that, I said. A rooftop reason. A fruit bowl reason. She looked down, like she thought playing small would make me forgive faster. I messed up. I know. But it's more complicated than you think. I almost laughed. They always say that. Affairs never come with a neat bow. Just knots. Ugly, tangled knots. She tried to explain that she'd been groomed, that her boss had started small, with compliments, mentorship, late-night emails. That by the time she realized it was inappropriate, she was already in too deep. That she wanted to tell me. That she hated herself. That it was never about love. That last part stung more than I expected. Because if it wasn't about love, then what the hell had she thrown us away for? You left your ring in a fruit bowl for a man who treats women like disposable wine glasses, I said flatly. And now that he's getting investigated, you're scared. She nodded. Silent tears now. Like that would fix the damage. I lost everything. Ellis, she whispered. My job. My reputation. People are calling me a homewrecker. The media. Oh no, I cut in. You didn't lose everything. Not yet. And right then, like the universe had rehearsed it with me, the door next to us opened, and Clara stepped out. Yeah, Clara. The same woman Melinda had humiliated with her little late-night fantasy invite. She glanced at us both and gave a polite smile. Ellis, I finished the PDA file you asked for. You want me to leave it on your desk? Melinda blinked like she'd been slapped. PDA, she croaked. Clara turned to her, completely calm. Oh, I didn't mention. My son's in Mr. Carver's class. Small world, huh? Melinda's mouth opened, then closed. No words, just white noise. Clara winked at me, winked, then went back inside. And in that moment, for the first time in this entire nightmare, I felt like I had leverage. Melinda reached out like she was going to touch my arm, but I took a step back. I need to get back to my students, I said quietly. Some of us still have work to do. She didn't stop me, just stood there, blinking rapidly, like her reality had finally caught up to mine. But the real twist? She still hadn't told me the real reason she went to that rooftop. And I was about to find out. I thought the worst part was over. I thought the rooftop was the climax. The confrontation in the school hallway was the fallout. And now we'd enter that awkward phase of separation where we'd fight about furniture and lawyer fees. But no, that was just Act 1. What happened next flipped the entire story upside down. It started with a knock on Andrew's apartment door the following Saturday. I was still in sweatpants, half-heartedly sipping reheated coffee, when I opened it to find a delivery driver holding a padded envelope. Are you Ellis Carver? He asked. I nodded, confused. Signature here, he said. Priority courier. No sender listed. Inside the envelope was a USB drive and a single sticky note that read, she kept a folder. You should know what was in it. No name. No explanation. Now I should have paused. I should have waited, maybe even tossed it. But curiosity is a disease when you're desperate for answers. I plugged the drive into Andrew's laptop while he hovered behind me, biting a granola bar like it was popcorn, and we were watching a movie. There was one folder on the drive, titled Meetings 2023 Private. Within it, hundreds of files, screenshots, PDFs, audio notes, photos, video clips. I scrolled through in stunned silence. This wasn't just a cheating wife's stash of flirty messages or risque selfies. This was documentation, like evidence, strategic evidence. In one video clip, Melinda was sitting in a hotel suite with the CEO, her boss, her affair partner. She was recording him, casually, mid-conversation. He was talking about company finances, names I didn't recognize, references to offshore transactions. It wasn't romantic. It was business. Corrupt business. Something clicked in me. Something dark. Oh my God, I muttered. She wasn't just sleeping with him. She was collecting him. Andrew leaned in. Blackmail. I nodded slowly. Or leverage. Insurance. Whatever it was, she knew it wasn't going to last. Some of the emails confirmed it. Messages between her and another coworker, someone named S. Dunham, suggesting a plan to expose the CEO at the next executive retreat. But she'd gotten sloppy. Or maybe greedy. Because that retreat never happened. The rooftop did. And now it all made sense. She didn't go to that rooftop event just for him. She went there to end it. She brought the files. She wanted to confront him privately, maybe force his hand. Who knows? But she never got the chance. Because Clara showed up. I showed up. And Melinda's whole plan crumbled in real time. That's why she looked panicked that night. Not guilty. Exposed. And if what I was looking at on that drive was even halfway real, the CEO wasn't just a cheating executive. He was dirty, like federal crime dirty. And my wife? My boring husband, safe bet, soft-hearted schoolteacher. Wife, she was way more dangerous than I ever knew. I didn't know what to feel. Betrayed? Yeah. Furious? Of course. But also weirdly impressed. She played me. Played everyone. And now, someone out there, whoever sent me that drive, wanted me to have a say in how it all ended. And I knew exactly what to do next. But first, I needed to see her face again. Because Melinda had tried to manipulate everyone else in this story, but now she was going to see what it felt like to be outplayed. I told her to meet me at our old restaurant. The one with the brick walls and dim lighting and overpriced flatbread she used to pretend to love. I said I just wanted to talk. No yelling. No games. Just closure. She said yes instantly. Too fast, honestly. Like she'd been rehearsing the moment for days. Like she'd hoped I'd finally crawl back, tail between my legs, ready to negotiate forgiveness. She showed up in soft makeup and a pale blue blouse I'd never seen before. The kind of outfit designed to look accidentally irresistible. She smiled when she saw me, like she was already rewriting the narrative in her head. As if this dinner was the start of a comeback story, not the end of one. "You look good, Ellis," she said, sitting down. I didn't respond, just nodded and passed her the menu. She launched into soft talk immediately. Apologies. Regret. The usual. I was so lost. He made me feel seen. It wasn't about you. And then, finally, the one I knew was coming. But I never stopped loving you. That's when I reached into my coat and set the USB drive on the table between us. Her face changed. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then swallowed. "What is that?" she asked, already knowing. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even look angry. That was the point. Just tired. Defeated. Like someone who didn't have anything left to lose. Which made me extremely dangerous. "I know everything," I said calmly. "Not just the affair. The folder. The files. The recordings. Your entire scheme." She went pale. Her jaw locked, then loosened. She tried to smile. "Ellis, that's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think." I cut in. "You were never just cheating. You were setting up a power play. And now you've lost both the man and the leverage." She glanced around the restaurant like we were being watched, which, in a way, we were. I'd chosen this spot because of the open sightlines. No private corners. No hushed secrets. Just two people in the middle of a busy room with nowhere to hide. She leaned in, voice low. "Where did you get that? That drive? Did Clara?" "Doesn't matter," I said. "What matters is what happens next." And then I gave her the options. Option A. I hand the drive over to the board of her former company, the local press, and the federal accountant already sniffing around their financials. Her name becomes the headline. She burns publicly. No recovery. Option B. She writes a full confession, typed, signed, notarized. That pins the CEO as the initiator of both the affair and the financial cover-up. She admits to being manipulated. Regretful. She plays the victim. She names names. She disappears quietly. She didn't answer right away. She just sat there, hands folded, like she was sitting across from someone she didn't recognize. "You would destroy me," she whispered. Just like that. "No," I replied. "You destroyed yourself. I'm just the one who finally decided to stop sweeping up your broken glass." Her eyes were wet now, but I wasn't falling for it. Not anymore. "Why now?" she asked. "Why not just leave and let it rot?" Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. For once. For me. She stood to leave but paused, hovering, unsure. "And what do you get out of this, Ellis?" I looked her in the eyes. "Freedom." She left without touching her food. I sat there a while longer, staring at the drive on the table. And I realized. I wasn't sad. I wasn't broken. I was done. The knock came at 6:13 a.m. I hadn't even made coffee yet. I was standing in the kitchen of Andrew's apartment, staring blankly at a stale croissant, when I heard the sound. Sharp. Confident. Not like someone selling magazines or asking about Neighborhood Watch. I opened the door cautiously. The man standing there was tall, older, and dressed like he hadn't slept. Charcoal coat, dark circles under his eyes, a clipboard in one hand. and a badge hanging around his neck. "Ellis Carver?" he asked. My stomach dropped. "Yeah." He glanced over his shoulder, then stepped closer. "We need to talk. Now, before this goes any further." He didn't introduce himself right away. He didn't even explain how he found me. Just walked inside like he already owned the room. Andrew was still asleep. Thankfully, or I might have had to explain why some government-sounding guy was now in our living room flipping open a folder with my wife's name on every page. "I'm not here about your marriage," he said. "I'm here because you have something that connects to a much larger case. Your wife was never the target. She was part of the damage." That's when it hit me. The files on the USB. The financial records. The voice recordings. It was bigger than Melinda. Bigger than some sleazy CEO cheating on his wife. The man sitting across from me now wasn't a cop. He was federal. And suddenly, I was part of something I didn't ask to be in. He slid a printed photo across the table. It was the rooftop bar. The night of the so-called fantasy event. But this photo was taken from a surveillance angle. From a camera I hadn't noticed that night. In the image, I was walking in with Clara. Melinda was frozen mid-step. And her lover, her boss, was standing with his back turned. A second later, everything had fallen apart. "We were already investigating him," the agent said. "Your wife's folder? It confirms several things we couldn't prove before. But here's where it gets complicated." Of course it did. She may have been cooperating with us. Quietly, off the record. Or she may have been double-dipping, gathering leverage for her own gain while playing all sides. That's what we're still figuring out. I stared at him, stunned. "Are you saying she was working with you?" He shrugged. "We're not sure. That's why we came to you." He reached into his coat and placed a sealed envelope on the table. My name was on it. Inside, he said, was a copy of a deposition Melinda had filed 2 months ago. Under seal. Under pressure. The kind of thing that doesn't come to light unless someone opens the right door. "You have a choice, Mr. Carver. We're moving forward either way. But if you decide to make a statement, we can offer limited immunity for anything you've shared with others. That USB drive puts you in the middle of a very messy investigation. I suggest you think carefully before making any more power moves." He left without finishing his coffee. And I just stood there. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about survival. I opened the envelope. Read her statement. All 10 pages. And somewhere in the middle, she wrote a line I still can't get out of my head. "I never meant for Ellis to get involved. He's too good for this. He never should have seen who I really am." She was right. But now, it was too late for her to decide what I saw. I didn't sleep that night. Again, I sat on the edge of the futon with the sealed envelope still open, the USB drive beside me, and my phone lighting up every few minutes with texts I wasn't reading. Melinda had crossed some invisible line long before she ever touched another man. This wasn't just about infidelity. This was about manipulation. Secrets stacked on secrets. And now I was holding the key to a fire she thought she could control. But I was done being the one who burned for her choices. I made one final call. Not to the agency. Not to a lawyer. Not even to Clara, though she'd surprisingly turned out to be one of the most grounded people in this whole disaster. I called my sister in Oregon. We hadn't spoken much in years. She'd always said Melinda gave her a weird vibe. I used to laugh that off. This time, I didn't. When she picked up, I didn't even say hello. Just, "You still got that extra room?" She didn't hesitate. "Yeah. You coming?" "Yeah. Tomorrow." And I meant it. I spent that entire next day doing the most peaceful thing I'd done in weeks. I packed. I didn't take much, just a suitcase, a few boxes of books, my laptop. Left the rest behind. I sent one final message to Melinda that afternoon. No threats. No venom. Just one line. "I'm not waiting anymore. I'm walking away. For real this time." She replied 5 minutes later. 8 messages. Some angry, some desperate. A few voice notes I didn't listen to. The last one said, "Please, just let me explain everything. I'll do whatever you want. Please don't leave like this." But I already had. And when she showed up at Andrew's later that night, banging on the door, I was already gone. 3 states away by sunrise. 2 weeks later, I was sitting on my sister's back porch, coffee in hand, watching her 2 kids argue over a garden hose. They dragged me out there to help plant sunflowers, which mostly meant I got mud on my jeans and forgot, for a little while, how deeply I'd been betrayed. A month after that, I started a new job. Smaller school. Rural. Quiet. But honest work. Nobody whispered behind my back there. Nobody pitied me. I even started teaching a creative writing elective, something Melinda once told me was a waste of time. But the best surprise? I kept hearing from Clara. At first, it was just check-ins, quick texts, a meme here or there, a sarcastic, "Well, that went well," after the press covered the CEO's resignation and the financial scandal. Then it turned into real conversations, then phone calls. Then one night, after months of healing and awkward laughter, she asked, "Would it be weird if I visited?" It wasn't. She came out for a weekend, stayed for 5 days. We didn't label anything. We didn't rush. But there was something so deeply real about sitting across from someone who'd lived through the same hurricane and still wanted to build something from the rubble. So no, I didn't get my old life back. But I found something better. My own life. Not the one I shared with someone who lied for a living. Not the one where I played the role of dependable husband while my wife rehearsed betrayal. Just me. Flawed, awkward, coffee-addicted Ellis. Writing again. Teaching again. Breathing again. And for the first time in years. That was enough.